Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting of August the 3rd. I'd like to call this meeting to order with the adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions?
Madam Mayor, administration has no additions.
Thank you. Council? None? Could I have someone move to adopt the agenda then, please? Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Carried. I thought you had your hair in curlers, Jeff.
Oh, just if I put my light there. Looks like a halo.
No, it looks like curlers.
All right, first on our agenda, I'd like to welcome Matrix with the financial audited presentation with Noel and Julian. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen right now. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Well, good evening. My name is Noel Chin. I am the engagement partner. And today the objective here is to present the 2021 audit findings report for the town of high level consolidated financial statements. So as of today, August 3rd, 2022, we substantially completed the audit of the town's financial statement with the exception of our presentation to council, obtaining the approval with regards to the draft financial statements for the 2021 fiscal year end, the completion of the financial information report, and the completion of the FCSS review. Okay. At the core for all external audit services, we like to remind everyone with regards to the importance of the independence for the external auditors. So Appendix 1, we confirmed our independence that everyone from our management team, from everyone from our audit engagement team are independent from management. Next, we'd like to remind everyone what are the responsibilities of the auditor of management. So with regards to the auditors, it's important for everyone to understand that we perform our audit in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards. These standards require that we perform and plan the audit to obtain reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance, and that these statements are presented fairly in all material respects with regards to the financial position as of December 31, 2021. Results of operation changes in net financial assets, the cash flow of the town in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. Our audit does consider the internal controls relevant to the preparation of financial statements. However, we like to remind all users of these statements that we do not perform any consulting services. We only consider the internal controls and processes that are directly related to the financial preparation and what we could use and whether or not we can rely on these controls for the for our audit purposes. Management is responsible for the preparation of these financial statements in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. And management representation is an integral to the audit evidence that we gather. So prior to the release of our report, we will require management representation right to support the content of our auditor's report. With regards to our audit approach in gathering our audit evidence, we utilize a combined approach of the towns with regards to the audit of the town. A combined approach is more appropriate when the entity has proper segregation of duties and there are adequate controls in place. So the combined approach is consistent with the approach that we have performed for the town's audit in the prior years. And in utilizing a combined approach, we obtain assurance from a combination of substantive procedures would be analysis of data, obtaining direct evidence such as the validity of items, third-party confirmation, and vouching, along with testing internal controls such as preventative controls, detective controls, and automated controls. And by the use of combination of this, we are able to reduce the amount of vouching substantive testing without sacrificing the degree of accuracy when it comes down to performing our audit procedures. For our materiality for these financial statements consisting of prior years, 2% of the lesser revenues and expenses were utilized. So $305,000 is the overall materiality that we utilize for these financial statements in determining whether or not these financial statements are materially misstated. Okay. Here we, for the next portions of our audit presentation, we will talk about the audit risks, our audit responses for the key components of the financial statements. At this point, I'd like to share, some of the key accounts with regards to the balance sheet and the income statement, and what were the audit procedures that we utilize for these key components. So, starting off here, we like to comment on cash, bank indebtedness. Essentially here, the risk here is to ensure the existence, misappropriation of cash as at the end of the year. Our audit procedures would include bank confirmations, verification of management's bank reconciliations to ensure that the reconciliations are appropriate, they appropriately tie out, and that they're done on a timely manner. With regards to, as you can see here, in 2021, the cash balance actually was flipped over in deficit, so a bank indebtedness of around 316,000. And this is primarily due to the tangible capital asset spending that was performed in the current year, where the grants for these capital assets were not received until subsequent to the end of the year, which also attributes to the large accounts receivable. In addition to that, a significant amount was related to the DRP as well. But subsequent to the end of the year, I think the cash balance for the town is in a positive balance. So this is primarily due to a timing issue. Okay. Again, as I alluded to earlier, with regards to accounts receivable, primarily this is due to timing of when the actual receivables, whether or not they're received prior to the end of the year or subsequent to the end of the year. The key changes from 2020 would be related to increases with grant receivables from Mackenzie County, the BC Wildfire, and MSI Capital from the government of Alberta. With regards to accounts receivable, our concerns here and risks primarily is the valuation. Whether or not these accounts receivable at the end of the year, are they collectible subsequent to the end of the year? So part of our audit procedures and testing that we performed would be primarily related to subsequent receivable testing to ensure that the key items or receivable balances that are greater than 120 days have been collected. And if they haven't been, whether or not management will be writing off these receivables. So based on the procedures that we performed, no significant issues and variances were identified as at the end of the year. For investments here, there was a little bit of a drop off with regards to the investment balance. Again, this is more of a timing in terms of when bonds were maturing compared to when they were reinvested. With regards to our audit procedures here, again, valuation is always a key risk when it comes down to investments. Our audit procedures would be a recalculation with regards to the investment continuity schedule to ensure that the cost base, along with the interest, dividends, or any revenues that have been earned throughout the year, is a tie out. We will also obtain bank statements in terms of balance, bank portfolio balances at the end of the year, confirmations, along with T3, T5 substar issued by the bank to ensure that both the investment from a cost basis and the investment income that was earned in the year all corroborate with one another. Okay. Moving down here in terms of accounts payable, again, accounts payable, one of the largest risks from an audit perspective is whether or not, as the end of the year, have we captured all the expenditures. So part of this, when it comes down to the completeness, how we address this risk would be we would perform subsequent event testing by obtaining subsequent event bank statements, selecting a threshold of our samples and vouching to supporting documentation to ensure that invoices that pertain to the 2021 that were not received, but that were received subsequent in 2021, they have been appropriately accrued for. So as you can see here, $1.6 million compared to $2.3 million. Primarily, this is a timing issues in terms of whether or not when the town has actually paid these payables, and when these and in terms of the activity that occurred in the end of the year. Okay. Some adjustments were provided to management, presented to management. They accepted it, and as a result, there were no further issues with regards to accounts payable and accrued liabilities. Deferred revenue here. This is more or less a financial reporting item in terms when it comes down to government grants that have been received by the town that have not been utilized, and or essentially all the external restrictions have not been met. So primarily here, the risk from a financial reporting standpoint would be, have all the compliance have all the external restrictions and compliance been met? Are all the capital grants that have been provided to the town, have they been completely recorded as of the end of the year? So there's a few things that we do with regards to deferred revenue. We would perform, we would obtain management's continuity schedule and vouch the additions in the current year, perform a recalculation, and tie the revenue that's recognized from deferred revenue with the tangible capital asset additions that have been occurring in the current year, to ensure that there's the appropriate revenue recognition. As you can see here, it's a decrease from $3.2 million to $1.7 million is primarily attributed to the capital asset additions that have occurred in 2021, as most of these grant revenue recognitions are related to capital items. So based on the audit procedure we performed, there were adjustments that we identified to get to this $1.7 million. Management accepted these proposed adjustments, and as a result, there's no further significant issues. For long-term debt, typically long-term debt, we would be expecting a trend of a decrease as the town is paying off their debentures. But in 2021, there was a $710,000 loan that was acquired for a lift station, and debt payments of around $500,000. So the net was approximately around $210,000, which explains the net increase from 2.47 million dollars to 2.68 million dollars. Okay. With regards to our audit procedures, we obtained the new debenture agreements. We performed a recalculation with regards to the payments that were made, and as a result, no significant variances or issues were identified after we completed our audit procedures. Okay. With regards to the non-financial assets here, as we have, as we alluded to earlier, we have tangible capital assets. Now, we did say that there was a lot of tangible capital assets. If we actually, I'm just going to kind of quickly go to Schedule 5 here. You'll see that there's around a net amount of roughly, I would say, let's say around $4 million of net additions. However, amortization expense of $5.6 million did occur, and as a result, we're sitting around $106,855,000 for tangible capital assets. Okay, so as a result, as at the end of the year, as of December 31, 2021, the town of High Level's accumulated surplus was $106,750,091. Moving over to the income statement, as you can see, for net municipal property taxes here, $4.987 million compared to last year, 4.8. Not a significant change, most likely due to levy rates or assessment values. Very close to what the town had budgeted for $4.929 million. When it comes down to revenues, our key concern is to ensure that the accuracy of revenue calculations. So particularly for property taxes, we perform a substantive analytic, along with, this is where the combined approach, where we would perform walkthroughs of internal controls, where we can rely on the ERP system that management uses to ensure the accuracy when it comes down to calculating property taxes for all the levies for all the residents. No significant issues were identified. Everything worked accordingly to what we expected. And with regards to our substantive analytical procedure that we performed, there was not much of a variance based on the expectation, what was the actuals recorded by management. So no significant issues there. For user fees and sales of goods, significant increase compared to the prior year. Now, this goes hand in hand, for one thing, with regards to gas price increases, but the other thing too, in 2021, what did occur that didn't happen in 2020 was with regards to the BC wildfire. So there was around 430,000. So as you can see here, that's probably where the difference was compared to budget, around $5 million. With regards to interest and investment income, as I alluded to earlier, when we were doing the investment section, we also did a recalculation of what our expected interest calculations would be. It did tie to the confirmations received from the bank. Particularly why it was so low compared to the prior year is just how the markets are in terms of trying to recover from the pandemic, and this is pretty consistent from what we've seen from other municipalities as well. Okay. As we look at the expenses here, 16.775 versus 16.742. Not a lot of difference when it comes down to overall expenditures. There may be some differences of expenditures within the departments, but overall pretty similar. As you can see here, the budgeted amount was around $11.6 million. Again, this is primarily due to the fact that the municipality does not budget for amortization expense, which would be around the $5.6 million. So this is why there's a variance between the actuals compared to the actual budget amounts. Overall, from an expenditure point of view, we performed substantive testing with regards to expenditures to ensure that the expenditures are recorded correctly from both an object and a function basis. We also performed a controls approach where we were looking to ensure that expenditures had appropriate approvals from all levels of management and authorization. So everything more or less checked out there as well. So as at the end of the year, there is a deficiency of revenue over expenses of around $4 million. Again, keep in mind, this does include $5.6 million of expenditures related to amortization expense. That's a non-cash item. After considering government transfers for capital projects from external grant funding, again, this is the amount of revenue that is been recognized from deferred revenue because the town has met the external restrictions and conditions from the grants that were provided to them. We have roughly around a deficit of $1.73 million. Okay. Again, this is just a snapshot of the income statement along with the financial position. In conclusion, I would like to, in terms of our audit findings, there's no significant deficiency in internal controls. Again, our audit procedures did not reveal any significant deficiencies specifically related to our financial reporting. As at the end of the year, for December 31, 2021, the town, we did issue an unqualified opinion. So this is a clean opinion that these financial statements were not materially misstated. Within these financial statements, there is we call these uncorrected misstatements. Primarily, one of the largest ones was more or less the grant revenue that was recognized in 2021. In the prior year, $100,000 of grant revenue should have been recognized, but it was still sitting in deferred revenue. Our audit procedures identified that in the 2021 year, along with the discussion with management, because this was underneath our materiality threshold, we pushed it through the current year so that going forward, we wouldn't have any further misstatements on a go-forward basis, and there was no need to restate the financial statements as it would not change our audit opinion. Okay. So after considering both qualitative and quantitative factors with respect to the uncorrected misstatements accumulated during the year, we agree with management that these financial statements are materially misstated, and as a result, we have provided an unqualified opinion. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank management for their cooperation and the support during the 2021 year-end audit process. There was a little bit of hiccups that we encountered throughout the year, but again, I'm confident that these are anomalies and that 2022 will be a lot smoother. And we wish the town success for the 2022 year-end. And in conclusion, this is my presentation. I've opened the floor for any questions at this moment.
No questions?
No questions?
Nope.
Okay, well, again, at any time, council, if you have any further questions after this, please feel free to contact myself or Yulian. Again, I thank you very much, and I guess we can sign off at this point.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Noel, and we wish you a good year now that you're all done.
All right. Looking forward to 2022. Have a great summer, everyone.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, Noel.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
I'd like to call upon Corporal Barber to give his report. I apologize for standing you up this morning. I accepted the invitation and then completely forgot about it. Who meets on a Wednesday?
I know, usually it's Monday. So let's report here, do you want me to read it out, or?
Just give us the highlights, please.
Okay. Our monthly calls were about the same as June, it was off by just one number, so. Towards the end of July, it started to go down with, most of the Chate people moving back home or out to the camps. And our prisoner totals are almost double, or over double from last year, so. It's keeping us busy, keeping the
Yeah.
guards busy. We had 5 drug-related investigations, still ongoing. Members did a good traffic stop with some drugs and some cash inside the vehicle. Led to a search warrant at one of the hotels in town. So, members are doing some good work following up on some of these files. We did have the one child abduction from the park. We're still under investigation. We still haven't identified who the mother and the child was, so we're still working on that. Media release went out on that.
So the child was abducted?
Well, male, indigenous male, apparently tried to grab it,
Okay,
grab the
the
child,
child.
and the mother grabbed the child and left the park right away before we got there. So it was called in by a separate third-party witness. So we do have a sketch artist coming up to come look at that, follow up with some of the witnesses that seen it.
Okay.
So we're hoping that we'll get a positive outcome on that.
Okay.
Let's see. We did have a hit and run, which Rodney brought up this morning, and that was last weekend, or last week. We did find the registered owner, someone who got the plate, one of the witnesses. So that person's been charged with failing to remain at the scene. So,
And the child is okay?
no, this was a different one.
Oh, okay.
Parked vehicle was hit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was the child okay in the other?
From the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
The owner of that vehicle did come forward, and
Oh, okay.
he's also been charged with the tickets. Lots of mischief calls, about 90 calls. Most of it's either noise complaints or people downtown. Members kind of deal with that with their discretion, and a lot of warnings have been out for that. And one charge and a couple more under investigation. 4 operating motor vehicle while impaired, resulting in 2 roadside fails and 1 caution. And some of those may have fallen under the traffic related complaints as well. So they're dealt with the provincial sanctions. 8 reported missing persons, all of them found or located. 1 was in the hospital, so that was unfounded. And just generally steady calls, members trying to catch up on files, and things slow down a little bit more at the end of July, and hopefully we can get some rest and get caught up again. We've stopped the enhanced policing for the Chate flood that we're using for overtime, and we're switching over to the weekend community checks around downtown and the parks. So that'll start. Hopefully we can get members to fill that as well.
So you have stopped Chate?
Yeah, so around July 15th, the call volume was dropping, so we decided to stop using their flood money.
Okay.
evacuation.
So we're back to
The enhanced
weekend
policing through the
hands?
town. Yeah.
Okay. I noticed them with garbage bags and picking up along the Fulman building today.
That's good.
So I think that was in either your report or Lori's report or somebody's report that they were handing out garbage bags to them and they were
Oh, cleaning up after.
cleaning up their messes, and I
Oh.
saw it today with my own eyes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
that's good. All right, any questions of Corporal Barton?
We do have a new member that just came into town as well.
Oh,
Cole Reimer, Sergeant Constable. So he's going to be trained by Mospick and McCartney.
okay.
hopefully be out on his own soon.
6 months?
Yeah, 6 months. And we're losing Constable Bernard this month too. His transfer to Hinton, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I promise not to stand you up next month.
Okay.
We'll be back to Monday,
Back to
so
normal.
remember.
All right, thank you.
Okay, see you. Okay, the minutes of the July 1st meeting. Could I get someone to approve them, please?
July 11th.
Did I say, what did I say? July 11th, sorry. Can't see. The July 11th. Any errors? Okay. Councillor Lambert? All in favor? Carried. Could I have someone move the
Favor.
RCMP report? Councillor Welke?
I can move that.
All in favor? Carried. Geez, I haven't been doing any work at all, so I don't have a report. I haven't, honest.
It's July.
It's July.
Do you want us to move the financial and the audit findings?
Oh, it's in
Okay.
old business.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So could I get someone to?
I'll move the mayor's report as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Deputy Mayor?
On July 14th, attended Mackenzie Regional Waste Management Committee Board meeting. And then earlier this evening, the financial statements and audit findings.
Okay. Anything new at your Mackenzie waste meeting?
We're going to be doing the review of our financial statements here sometime in the next couple of weeks. We're just looking at setting a date now that they're available.
Okay. Councillor Anderson?
No committees to report on. Attended the earlier session with the auditor's report today.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lambert?
On July 13th, I attended the IMPC meeting. We approved a residential development on some privately owned land that was deemed industrial, so we granted that they are allowed to build a house there. It's areas just south of town, kind of between town and the West Fraser Mill. So apparently that is industrially zoned, and you have to have certain permits to build a house there. So other than that, on July 21st, I also attended the chamber meeting, and we finally elected an entire new board. So that is up and running, and hopefully, yeah, we have another meeting tomorrow with the strategic plan, so hopefully get some good feedback and positive progress from there going forward, and kind of start new and pick up the chamber from where it left. And then also are attending the August 10th, there's another meeting in September for the employment workshop. The chamber will be working together with the town on that, hopefully drum up some employment in the town. And then also tonight attended the financial audit. That's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, Councillor Welke?
On July 20th, building moving regarding the relocation of the old Bare Necessities building to the FASD Society's property, and I believe that was happening today. I saw the prep work going on as I was leaving town. Does anyone know if that building was actually mobilized today? Did they see it?
Tomorrow, apparently, if it's not too muddy.
Pardon me?
Tomorrow, if it's not too muddy.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, and so just to update everyone on that, the building is going to be oriented with the previous front, which faced the street, facing, I guess, south, towards the existing FASD buildings, and therefore the old decking where you would have gone into the building before will be facing the FASD buildings for easier access. from the existing building, and then the rear garage bay and loading dock sort of area will be towards the Cedar Arms, sort of north towards the Cedar Arms apartments, and more accessible via the back parking lot, which will be worked on as well shortly. So that's that's kind of exciting. The actual function and activities or programming that'll go on in there are still to be determined, and exactly how it will interface with the existing building is still to be determined as well. Other than that, I attended the auditor's report prior to this meeting with the rest of the council via Zoom, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Could I have somebody move the council committee reports, please? Councillor Lambert, all in favor? Carried. The administrative reports, are there any questions about the action list? Could I have someone move it for information then, please?
I'll move for information.
Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Carried. The upcoming events. Could I have someone move for information if there are not any questions?
I'll move for information.
Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. The monthly admin reports.
Madam Mayor, if council wishes, they can ask the senior management directly. Any questions they may have?
Is there any questions from the, I just had the question about the IT. When is that going to begin?
Madam Mayor, you're talking about the installation in this?
Yes.
I expect to be finished by the end of November.
November.
Yes,
The tenders have closed and we've awarded the tender.
Oh. Isn't it just slapping up a few wires?
I think there might be some supply chain issues with some of the equipment.
Okay. Okay. Is there any questions from council about the reports? I guess it was in here where I saw they were handing out garbage bags.
Yeah, they've been, our community enforcement team has been working with the street population, handing out water bottles, asking them to pick up garbage.
I would like an update, if you wouldn't mind, Director Rolfe, on the community park, cultural park, and grants and where they are at.
Okay, like right now, or?
Yeah.
Oh. What do you want me to-
Nobody else wants to ask questions, so.
Community park, we received 2 bids, and it'll be awarded probably tomorrow. So should be able to start work the following week.
And what is all planned? People have been asking me, so.
Yeah, I have a big sign to go up there.
Okay.
But, what's going to be, what we're working on is the earthwork, so all the grading and the electrical and the plumbing or servicing or whatever. And that'll pretty well take close to $1 million. So that goes in where we'll be at for this year. And then we're working on grants for next year to, I'll come back to council with.
Okay.
The cultural park, we're still waiting on the grant from Prairie Can Western Diversification for Tourism Relief. It's still sounding positive, but hasn't actually been awarded. So what we're working on is we have to get the one memorial done, because that was grant dependent on the other grants that we've received between the Friendship Center, the couple that were written for the Friendship Center. So we've ordered the steel poles and beads, and we're just working on the install. We're just looking for in-kind from some of the local contractors to see if they can help us with the install. So we're hoping to at least have that done. So that'll be the 3 great big steel poles put together with beads around them representing children that didn't make it back to their homes. And that'll be in 2 steel rings. One will be a fire ring, the other one will be with rocks in it, and then there's a steel grade that goes all the way around that with concrete. So we're hoping to get that part and grading of the park done at a bare minimum this year. That'll be done. We received $500,000, we'll be able to expand that, and if we're lucky to get tender out and get it awarded, do the concrete work for the rest of the park and into the museum district block.
So do we have a map of that or a picture of that on our webpage?
Not on our webpage, no, but we could do that. I do have the community park, I have it on our webpage, and I have a great big sign, 4x4 foot sign that's done to put up the community park.
Could we maybe put the map layout of the cultural park? People have been asking me, and I'm not quite sure what is still in and what's not in.
Yeah, for sure, I can put it in kind of what phases we're looking at
Okay.
right now. I'll just discuss with the executive director of the Friendship Center and make sure they're on board or
Yeah.
fine with everything. We'll do a bit of a write-up and we can put it on both our websites.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And that $750, what was that grant from?
The 750,000
For the community
the
park?
community park was Western Diversification of Prairie Can, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then we
Never
still have
remember.
400,000 from other funding sources, MSI and MSP.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Yes,
So our agreement with Mackenzie Counter, that's all been signed?
Yes, I was kind of waiting during the council action list for that question. Yes, all 4 agreements have been signed. They've been compiled and provided to both parties.
So have we received all of our funding then from them?
No, we haven't. I'll be reaching out to their director of finance, and then we'll be concluding the funding for 2021. We still are owed the difference of the 570,000, and then the 2022 budget of the $1 million. Yeah.
we actually just completed signing those.
Yeah, that was just put together last, I think Friday was when they went out to the
Yeah.
parties. So. Jerry's been busy, Director Phillips has been busy with the audit, so we'll reach out to their finance department this week.
Okay.
Sorry, I do have one question. It's not specifically addressed in the report, but I'm not sure if it's for Director Straub or Director Rolfe, but with the repaving at the museum, I noticed that the food truck is still parking back in there, and I'm just wondering if that base is designed for semis to be in there, or whether that should be in a different location.
that location is fine, and they are permitted, so, and we're in the process of putting in no overnight parking signs, like I've got them already to receive them, I just have to do locates, get them installed, and we have to get the parking curbs, they were working on them today, I haven't had a chance to go back over there, and our parking line's done, that'll help too, because we'll have specific areas where trucks like that, RVs and that will be parked there temporarily. So, yeah, it can take the wait for that length of time, it's fine.
So our overnight camper is now gone.
Yes.
What about our monthly camper?
There currently isn't anyone overnight, so staff will keep an eye on things, other than for permits, like the BC food truck and that type of thing. They've kind of been grandfathered in every year, they apply for permits, so, business license.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm not sure who to direct this to. It would be for Director Gavin or Clark, but I noticed in the report for the CPO compliance, there's a deadline for July 31st. Did we meet that?
Oh, Director Gavin can answer that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Yes, we did achieve that. We received our compliance letter on the 13th of July after we sent them all the updated information on the 12th, and then just reviewed any outstanding reports. So we are currently in compliance.
Perfect.
Did you have a question for Director Straub, or was it?
I wasn't sure about the asphalt, who would have that answer, so.
Oh, no, Boca Lagoon. Or you want to go in camera?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions to the directors? Okay. Thank you. Could I have someone move the monthly admin reports, please? Councillor Lambert, all in favor? Carried. Who wants to hear another financial report?
I'm sure the Director Phillips would love to present you with one.
I'll move it for information.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, under old business, we have the 2021 consolidated financial statements that we went over twice this evening.
Madam Mayor, unless there's any further questions of council, we're looking for a motion to accept the financial statements and the audit finding report.
Is there any other questions from council? Okay, could I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Councillor Lambert? All in favor? Carried.
Before I get back.
Okay, under new business, the RFD dates to hold a by-election for our vacant position.
Madam Mayor, yes, as council knows, it was with regret that administration received Councillor Dwyer's written resignation on July the 11th. According to the Municipal Government Act, because it is more than 18 months before the general election, council must hold a by-election to fill the position. Council is recommending that we work toward a date, election date of Wednesday, October the 12th, which allows the individual to be sworn in at the organizational meeting on October the 24th. So to meet that date, nomination day will have to be September the 14th, and we'll need to advertise at least 2 full weeks, which would be September 1st and September 7th. In addition to that, administration is looking for direction on an advanced poll. We have 2 dates suggested, Friday, October the 7th. I believe that's from 3 until 8. Or we could do the same on October the, 1 to 6, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Or we could do Saturday, October the 8th, which might allow better access to the public to the advanced poll. There is, of course, an additional cost with holding that on a Saturday because that'll be staff overtime. But, so we put that forward for council discussion or questions.
Council, do you think we need a date ahead of time?
Advanced poll, our turnout our turnout at by-elections is notoriously low. And I don't know whether that is the difficult in accessing it or whether that is just general interest in the by-election.
So have we held advanced polling in by-elections previous? And how has the turnout been?
I would have to go back and.
Generally not as high as the day of the election.
That's why we went with October 7th as the recommendation of Friday instead of the Saturday because of there'd be a lot of overtime, about 6-7 staff required for those hours.
So council, what do you think? Just at election day?
I always think it's important to have more opportunities for people to get out and vote. You know, if someone is going to be out of town on election day or
Maybe we could have it at the farmer's market.
Actually,
Lots of people go there. Are we closed? Is the farmer's market done by then?
well, if you go with the Saturday, they could leave the farmer's market and come over and vote.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Is the farmer's market still into October?
No, I think it's.
No.
and it doesn't run on Friday.
No.
So are we saying that the 7th wouldn't work or the Saturday would work better? Just a little confused on that part.
He's saying that.
Or you want to have 2 days?
Sorry, in my opinion, the Saturday I think allows more access to the public. It's just that it is more expensive because of the overtime.
Would Friday running into the evening not allow for that?
Well, and that's, so we're already suggesting 6 o'clock, so most people are done 4:30, 5 o'clock, and that would still allow that time to vote later in the afternoon.
I'm just thinking, because with the past or actual election there, I think, did it not open until 8 o'clock?
Actually, the election day will be open till 8 p.m.
Oh, the actual election day?
That's
Oh, okay.
mandatory.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So that is something we could do on the Fridays, look at even an extra hour, put it till 7 PM or something, just give that couple.
I think that's more than enough. I don't think it needs to be, I think if you have it on a Saturday, you're gonna have a lot of people sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah. And actually, that's a good point. If people are, if it's something they can do on their way home, if it's something they have to leave home to do, it might be,
I think if it's important to someone, they'll make the time for it.
yeah, fair enough.
so what's the suggestion, the 12th and the 7th then? October 7th?
It sounds like Friday, October 7th.
Yeah.
1 to 7 PM. We'll change that to 7 instead of versus 6.
Okay,
And then election day would be Wednesday, October 12th. And that is mandatory that it's open 10 AM to 8 PM.
okay. Somebody want to make that motion?
Make that motion.
Councillor Lambert, all in favor? Carried.
Nominations start tomorrow.
Yeah. We will be giving notice tomorrow to, about the elections. We'll
Who
start
are you
posting
giving
that.
notice to?
Generally, just anybody who reads our web pages and follows our social media.
Okay. The next is the proposed annexation.
Madam Mayor, now that the agreements with Mackenzie County have been signed, that is actually the start of several processes, one of which is the annexation of the airport to the town high level. The county has agreed to the annexing of the airport on the condition that the annexation only contain Crown and town-owned properties, so there was no private property in the proposed annexation. So the first step is to provide notice to the county of the actual annexation, which of course they've agreed to, but also to the Land and Property Rights Tribunal and to the Minister of Municipal Affairs. We're also recommending that as affected parties, we also include Alberta Agriculture and Forestry, Alberta Environment and Parks, Alberta Infrastructure, Alberta Transportation, Apex Utilities, Aqua Utilities, the Denetah First Nation, Fort Vermilion School Division, and TELUS Communications. Additionally, we're suggesting that we give not necessarily as affected parties, but as interested parties, Beaver First Nation, Canada Post, the Paddle Prairie Métis Settlement, and the town of Granville. Those notices will go out tomorrow to all of those affected parties electronically. They'll be followed up by mail. And it is our suggestion that we hold an open house on September the 7th from 3 PM and into the evening, just for any affected parties or anyone interested in the annexation to just come in, and we'll have people available to chat with them. We'll set up a separate web page on the town site that covers the annexation and the properties affected, and we'll start giving notice to the public as well.
Any questions?
I'll move the recommendation.
Deputy Mayor moves recommendation. All in favor? Carried.
You're next, Mr.
Madam Mayor, the resolution for by-election, that included the second part of the appointments of the returning officer and the substitute.
Oh. Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. So before you have an RFP is submitted requesting $100,000 of the utility reserve to finish the Sandy Dump / truck fill station, as well as repair the intersection at Highway 35 and 100th Avenue. So just a brief summary of what I've stated in my RFP. When we tendered the project last year before the award, the asphalt prices that were within the tender were very high, we thought, and we were over budget. So we put that tender off, or we removed that from the tender and proceeded as we are, with the intention of adding gravel up to the top of the concrete just for 1 year. After the tender was awarded, a significant amount of work has been completed. We are bound by tenders, so we have to gravel according to the unit prices of the contract. So under the contract, the value of that gravel was approximately $79,000. I reached out to a local asphalt company and they came back with a quote of $86,000 for paving instead of gravel. If we fill it up with gravel at $79,000, we're still gonna have to remove it in a year or so to repave it in anyways. So I believe it's advantageous to proceed with paving right now instead of the additional $79,000 for gravel. Neither of those values were within the tender, so it would have been coming back at roughly around this time anyways to ask for additional funds. I just wanted to wait to see what paving would be at that time. The second part of that is the large hole we dug at the Highway 35 and the 100th Avenue there where the major water break was there this spring. We filled it and packed it up pretty good. It hasn't been settling, so it is a pretty rough intersection. We'd like to put a layer of asphalt in there for this year and get that intersection back to normal. So that's the summary of what we're asking for, list of our reserves and the recommended amount. There is a small buffer as they were just telephone estimates to start with. There is a 5% contingency built into the overall pricing. Any questions?
Yes.
So a good thing we waited, we saved 71,000 over last year's quoted asphalt price. Wow.
Yes, a lot of that had to do with the awarded contractor was from out of town, so we would have paid significant mold and stuff to bring up a plant. So it was advantageous to remove it at that time, and it seemed at those prices it seemed somewhat high. So yes, we did save we were able to pay for the repair at the Highway 35 intersection and still save money.
Any other questions? Somebody want to make a motion? Deputy Mayor moves the recommendation. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Oh,
And on a separate note, that station should be up and running by September 1st.
cool. Okay, so notice of proposed, oh, sorry. I'm way behind. Aircraft.
Madam Mayor, the town of Rainbow Lake has reached out in regards to the Alberta Municipalities Convention in the third week of September to ask if the town of High will be interested in sharing the cost of a charter flight to Calgary, because we have no direct plane or no direct flights to Calgary anymore. We used to have both Central Mountain Air, Central Mountain Air used to have a connector that went to Calgary. They're currently not running that flight, so if you do want to fly, you have to change planes in Edmonton and hop on another carrier, which I'm sure the mayor would just be thrilled with.
I'm not going, I'm driving.
However, in conversation with CAO Fletcher from Rainbow Lake, it is noted that for return on a 9-passenger plane is a $25,000 tab. It's quite expensive. So he just wanted to know if anybody was interested in attending and if they did want to fly. If not, we can get a hold of them tomorrow.
So you're looking at about 700 to even change carriers, so that is very expensive. Because I think Air Canada is $250 from Edmonton to Calgary.
Yeah. So even with the Central Mountain Airflight, yeah, you're probably only.
And my preference would be to use, and I'm not flying, so it's not my preference, but to use our local companies anyways, as to get a charter.
Yeah, you can fly into Calgary, it's just a little more difficult.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything to say?
If no one is interested, we'll pass that on to Rainbow.
I just think the costs are prohibitive, right? Like, for the 15-passenger flight is $36,500. 30 people could drive down and back for mileage for less than that.
Yeah, oh yeah, we can pay mileage to everyone attending and still not even come close to that.
I just think from a cost perspective, it just doesn't make sense. Convenience, sure, but not from a cost perspective.
Yeah, whereas Central Mountain Air flight, when they were still flying to Calgary, was around $600 return.
It's going to be difficult because I think, I mean, they don't even come back on a Friday or Sunday, do they?
That's the problem, they're still not flying 7 days a week,
Yeah.
6 days a week like they used to.
So I mean, it would only be convenient.
Yeah,
But this
well,
one's-
we'd probably incur, if you were doing that, we'd incur extra hotel rooms as well.
Yeah.
But this is also to fly down Monday and back Friday, which doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't start till Wednesday.
Yeah, there's some CAO stuff on Tuesday, but yeah, Wednesday for.
And they have courses that start on Monday.
I haven't seen the
I think they're trickling out some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a couple of emails over the last couple of days.
And it's not over till Friday.
No, I know. Go in.
I think the deputy mayor has all the elected official courses.
Are you done?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. So now you can be a CAO.
Well, this is council stuff.
Oh, elected official courses, okay. All right, yes, tell them thanks, but
Yeah.
it's too
That was
much
nice
for our
of them,
budget.
Yeah.
All right. Correspondence for action.
Just the municipal affairs report, which if anybody wants a hard
Who
copy.
read that?
I skimmed it.
I skimmed it, is all I did.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's awful. Anyways, could I have someone move to accept the correspondence for information? You, Councillor Lambert.
Move that.
all in favor? Carried. So this ends our public portion. We don't have any public here, so there's no question period. But we did want to go into a closed session for a few minutes. So I would like to thank you for attending this evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.